Yo, what is going on? It is James, aka The Comic Raider, and we are back with another movie review. It has been a while. I guess what, Captain America was probably my last one. So, we are back with Thunderbolts. Just got out of the theater. I loved it. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that right now. So, if you're new to the channel, if you've never seen my movie reviews, it's very simple. We're gonna go non-spoiler, and then at a certain point we will then cut that off and get into the spoilers, at which point I will tell you that we have now entered spoiler territory. So, spoiler free. Couple of things I wanted to say right off the bat. 2 end credits, so make sure you stay for those. In particular, the final one, there's always the mid and then the very end. The end is the one you want to see, so make sure you stay for the whole thing. So that's number 1. Other than that, as far as the story goes, I think really broken down, it's a very simple story, but the movie is made by the characters, the acting, the dialogue, those kind of things for me. It was a really good, even at times, a feel-good movie. Some comedy. There's, of course, comedy. You kind of, you know these characters because you've seen them before, right, and other stuff. So there's definitely some comedic element to it, but it works. I didn't find it to be over the top. I thought it was really good. The action's really good. The fight sequences were cool. Yeah, I'm really trying to stay spoiler free here. So yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that might be it that I can safely speak on. It's just really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's the best MCU I've seen in a while. It's definitely better than Captain America, and I don't mean that as a knock to Captain America. I'm just saying, having recently watched that one, definitely better than that. And like I said, probably better than a lot of recent things I've seen from MCU. Shows aside, because I really did like Daredevil, but yeah, this was really good. But like I said, story-wise, it's solid, it's simple, but it's executed fine. It's really the characters and just a really good overall. You put it all together, and it's really good. And I do recommend watching it in theaters. I would also, for me, if you do watch these videos, then I'm definitely a fan of the surround sound boosted. For me here locally, it's called JBX. That's where I went to watch this one. I always recommend any type of action movie, to have that. So I do recommend that. As far as IMAX, again, I didn't see it in IMAX, but I don't know that you necessarily have to. If you want to, absolutely go ahead and do it, but I would not consider this a must-watch in IMAX. I don't know that it really changes the experience that much, but still really good. And yeah, I'm sorry, but to keep it spoiler-free, because I'm really worried about saying something, I'm just gonna go ahead and have to end the spoiler right there. Good movie, great movie. Go watch it and have a great time. But we got to get into, where I can safely say things without having to worry about it. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. So right now, we're now doing spoilers from here on out. So I don't even know where to start, man. There's definitely some things that caught my attention. I'm going to go ahead and probably just address those first. I would love to know. I'm sure there's plenty of other Easter eggs and things like that I missed, but some of them that I did get was at the end. They're doing the end credits, and they're cycling through the characters and kind of putting them in the place of famous paintings or portraits or drawings that you've seen before, or articles, whatever. One of them was the Thunderbolts characters in the Justice League promo. If you remember, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that promo of their silhouette of their heads and how that looked, it was replaced at that, which I think is a really cool look. I love DC. DC's my favorite, but it is a cool little shot. Kind of like a shot. A nice little, hey, we're poking fun, little jab. So I caught that. Um, I didn't really look up anything about this movie. I didn't want to know much about the movie going in, and I think that that was a safe bet. I was not very hyped for it, and that's mostly just because of what I've come to expect from the MCU, not necessarily for this. I thought that this would work because the characters, I liked all of the characters in their own things that I've seen them do. So I thought that this would work, and I was just hoping that it all kind of came together in a Guardians of the Galaxy type way, in the sense of putting all these different characters together. It's gonna be funny, but can we not do it over the top? Can we have some seriousness and then some action? I think MCU does these team up movies really well. Now, obviously, we're gonna get into the title here shortly. That way, I can get that off. I feel like that's a weight on my shoulders right now for some reason. But so I wanted to talk about that. I want to get the. We'll do the end credits later. A couple of other things that I caught on was, so the reason why I brought up that I didn't really want to look up anything is I didn't even really look up who was playing Sentry, aka the Void, also, and I didn't know that it was Lewis Pullman, son of Bill Pullman, which means that you also have, and then you also have, Wyatt. I think it's Wyatt, right? No, yeah, Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son. So you have Bill Pullman and Kurt Russell's sons now in this movie together. I thought that was kind of cool, but also, I love Top Gun Maverick, and the first thing that I caught on was when he comes out and says Bob, which I understand is the character's actual name, but he's like, I'm Bob. That was the line and the whole thing of the joke in Top Gun Maverick, is that his character was just called Bob. He didn't have some cool call sign. So that was not lost on me. I thought that was really awesome. And as far as we'll go ahead and touch on some of the characters. So again, I like all these characters in their own things. Seeing it all come together, I was really hoping it was going to work, and I did find that it did. So with the addition now of Sentry, I thought that he did a good job with the role. At first, I will say I've only, so I did see him in Salem's Lot. That's right, he was in that new Salem's Lot, I think. I saw him in that, but I was getting like Bob from Maverick type vibes, where I was kind of hesitant on, is he just kind of playing the same type of character? But honestly, as the movie went on, he really grew into that role and playing the changes, and especially when he now takes over as he really becomes Sentry, he definitely acted different. And then he nailed it as the Void. Oh my god, him as the Void was so good. The design of the character, I understand it's just a shadow, but I think they did really well. And he just played it. I loved it. I loved how he did that. It was creepy. He really channeled a different type of personality, and I thought that was really well done. As far as the character itself, I'm not very familiar. I know who Sentry is, I know who Void is, I know that they're characters, but as far as the story and all that, I don't know it. I've never read anything with Sentry really in it. Maybe some Avengers books and stuff like that, but I don't have a lot of knowledge on Sentry. So if you do, I would hope that the story sticks, that like his origin, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is accurate. Even if it's not, I think it was done really well. And for someone like me who doesn't know it, I was like, all right, I dig it. I think that it was really well done and well portrayed. And his not just becoming Sentry and Void, but even at the part where they get into his mind and all that, and the rooms, that was all really cool. Again, accurate to the character? I don't know. I also don't really care, because it was done well. Everybody else, though, I mean, Valentina DeFontaine, she was great. Obviously, we've seen her before in a few movies now, or maybe even one. No, I think like one or two. But anyways, point is, she does a great job, of course, really being that just, she's the villain. She's just looking after herself. She plays that role really well, and to where you kind of hate the character, and you're hoping that she gets hers in the end, and yeah, she kind of does. They give you enough with Yelena being like, we own you, to be like, okay, fine, I could feel somewhat better. But, you know, she definitely also kind of wins in the end as well, which was neat. You know, her pivoting and staying a step ahead. As far as the main roster goes, uh, you know, you got your Yelena. Florence Pugh does an outstanding job as always. She has done so well with this character, and this one is very different than like how I've seen her in some of the other stuff in regards to really tackling all the trauma that she's had from the previous times that we've seen her, and she just did a great job in this. Then you've got um, Winter Soldier. He was awesome. Winter Soldier was awesome. From, you know, trying to be I would say the Congressman parts are definitely the weakest, but, you know, once he pops up on the motorcycle and he's just that badass, you're like, hell yeah, we are back. And throughout the movie, he's awesome. Red Guardian, providing the true comic relief. His character is over the top, but it's still, I didn't find it to be annoying, so I'll take that as a win. I think it was really good. I really enjoyed him. And, you know, even when he had, but then when he had to have his serious moment with Yelena, they nailed it, man. They really did. Two great actors coming together for that scene. So, you know, it wasn't like that's all he brought, right? He brought the serious when he needed to in that moment. And Ghost, she was great. She definitely probably has the least amount of time between them all, you know? But, well, not between all of them, but between that later group, yes. And but she was good. She was really good, especially with, you know, the running thing of her escaping and leaving, but then being the one that actually does come back for them twice. And then, you know, she's the one that wants to go into the void to save her. So all that was really cool. Walker, U.S. agent. He was great, again, also dealing with his own trauma and the things that he's had to go through and how his life has kind of fallen apart, which they touch on just enough, but it's not so much that it kind of throws the whole story off. So I thought that was great. And then in regards to all of them, again, coming together, it works. In regards to the action sequences, I really enjoyed that. You know, you got the multiple different fights. You have the whole scene of the cars. That was great. Because prior to that, I mean, the whole, like, you know, well, we'll touch on the beginning here in a second, sorry. So, them escaping from the cars and Winter Soldier now coming into play, that was that combination of good action, but also the comedy. And then, let's go back to the beginning. When you have, you know, all of them, as anybody who saw the trailers and kind of paid attention to things kind of knew where this was going, but all of them meeting up and being like, oh, okay, we've all been set up to kill each other. That whole fight sequence was great. You know, really seeing U.S. Agent be a little more dirty of a Captain America type fighter. And then you have Taskmaster come in, who Taskmaster is, to be honest, a character that I absolutely love in the comics. Did not care for the MCU portrayal of it. Got their little bit of moment of shine in this one, you know, with cool fighting and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, blah, which we knew was going to happen, but that was still really cool how they did it with Ghost just popping up in front and boom. I mean, I was knowing that it was coming, again, I keep saying that, but knowing it was coming and how they did it, I still really enjoyed that. That was crazy. But that whole sequence was really cool as far as the action goes. And then you get into them escaping. That one was alright. I mean, I guess it didn't really, like... You've seen these type of fights already, right? You've seen Winter Soldier fight plenty of times. You've seen Captain America fighting so many times. So I don't know that it was really, like, groundbreaking. I think where it was really cool was later on in the movie. You have them entering Avengers Tower and them all, you know, showing off their different powers at the same time, right? Ghost phasing in and out. I keep calling him that. U.S. Agent beating everybody up with Yelena doing it, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff all playing off of each other. I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, fast forward to now we have the Sentry and their fight, and that was well done. I think that, given it was a confined space. I had to think for a minute. Have we seen this type of character before? And I guess you have from Eternals. It didn't look terrible. And I am someone who constantly knocks the MCU when they're god awful CGI. But I didn't find it to be terrible. When you're doing a character of that magnitude, the Superman type, the flying, the punt, the strength, all of that, it's really hard. It's going to be hard to make it look completely realistic, right? They're obviously out of this world, extraordinary, but I thought it looked good enough. Again, as someone who's a heavy critic on the CGI, it was passable for me. I didn't go, my God, this is terrible, like I have with pretty much almost every MCU thing since probably Avengers Endgame and stuff like that. But so I and that fight sequence was good. Him just casually beating the crap out of all of them. That was well done, I thought. And then you now get into the void sequence and them being in there in all the rooms and everything. I thought that was well done visual effects wise, and going from the room to the room to the room was really cool. How they just did that whole part. And then of course the ending with them all coming together. And I know I'm jumping around here. I'm sorry, I'm rusty, but again, character wise, I thought it was really well done how they all come together. Story wise, I do think it is simple, right? All the characters are, working for DeFontaine. They all get set up. You meet Sentry. Sentry gets, you meet Bob. Bob gets turned into Sentry. Team has to stop Sentry. First Sentry, then the Void. Then Team has to come together to get the Void out and pull Sentry out of the Void. So simple, I think. I think it's a very simple story, but it was executed well, I thought. Now, a couple of things I do also want to get into here. My notes are... I try not to be on my phone during the movie, so once the movie's done, I kind of just start typing up a whole bunch of notes, and it's totally out of order. But, there was a lot of good moments, and I guess we'll just touch on various moments here throughout the movie. Yelena, when she has her moment after they get their asses beat by Sentry, and she's just... her acting in that part is great. Her, she's realizing that he's kind of not really there, right? And then trying to stop everyone from fighting him, getting her ass beat, them all getting their asses beat, then just totally having that breakdown out in front and just going off on everybody. And the things that she was saying, and then of course it gets to U.S. Agent, he's like, oh, it's my turn, and she's like, no, you already know you're a piece of crap. Your family even knows you're a piece of crap, or however she says it. And he's like, Jesus. Like, damn, girl. That was great. That was a great moment. It was funny, but also like, damn, she's really she's going through it right now. She's having that breakdown. And then, of course, you get that awesome, serious moment between her and Red Guardian after that. So, that was great. I think, again, the opening moment of them all being... the opening itself, right? I just thought it was kind of whatever. But the scene of them all coming together and realizing that they're being set up, yes, that was a cool fight scene. Yes, it was a cool way to introduce. There's definitely some funny moments of them trying to escape. But once you get into the fighting outside, when they're fighting the agents that have been sent in, the task force, none of that was... I don't think any of that was stuff you've never seen before. So that was kind of just whatever. But after that, again, I really did enjoy the scene of them being chased in the cars, because it was a great mix of comedy plus the action. Bucky coming in like the badass that he is. I thought that was really awesome. And then, now you get into, again, the really cool moment of them all trying to explain what's happening. And I'm trying to save these things in complete topics, but you have that, and then you get into them fighting the void, and I guess this is where we can now have a discussion of like the seriousness of the movie. It touches even from the very beginning. When Yelena's talking to Bob, and it's getting into that very serious topic of, well, I feel alone and I feel depressed and I feel this and I feel that. What do I? It feels like a void, and what do I do with it? And she, half jokingly, half seriously, is like, oh, you stuff it down, and then you get into him being in his feelings. You start learning why he's feeling that way. Again, I keep saying Yelena and Red Guardian having their moment of breaking down. Uh, Bucky talking to the team of how, I know where you're at, I've been there. And then you get into the Void. Or, well, you get into Sentry and you get into why he breaks, because he can't trust Dave Fontaine. And the whole, I'm a god, you're using that term lightly. Well, you said I was the Avengers and they have a god. That was great. A great line. And then, you get into him now being the Void and why. And then Yelena going into the Void to find and pull Bob out of there. And that's a very obviously serious moment because they're both going through all the trauma rooms essentially. And it's really serious in that moment. And it is really good. And the ending part with them having to come together to get him out was really, really good. The way in which they handle that. I mean, again, this is a very serious and very relatable topic that we're dealing with. And a certain someone that I went with is not going to be happy that I say this, but, maybe they got a little emotional watching it. And I don't mean to say that to poke fun at them. I mean it to say that it was done really freaking well. It is an emotional movie, or at least in certain parts. It can get emotional. It can really hit on a topic that relates, or a lot of people relate to. And I thought that it was very well done. So, all of that, man. Now, there's a lot of other moments throughout. Of course, one of the craziest moments in the movie is you have the Void, you have the destruction of the city, you have Red Guardian save a little girl, and then boom, she is voided. And the theater there was a gasp, and there was a guy in the back of the theater who was like, "What? No!" Just an audible reaction to that. That was so good because it was so unexpected. Children in a lot of movies of any kind are always off limits. So that was like, damn, that was good that they did that they went there. And it was just damn good, man. So that moment, let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. I mean, obviously you have the Avengers Tower coming back. One of the things that also I really did like was that there's no, what I wrote here in my notes, there's no cameo. There's no cameos from any other character because we didn't need it. Which, again, we're going to get to the title, but then it kind of makes sense why you didn't need it. But I don't think, regardless, you didn't need it. This was the Thunderbolts movie. They didn't need any of those other big characters to show up to make it something. When the Void was running through New York, I was really hoping that we didn't get some fan service moment of, Spider-Man being voided or Daredevil being voided. Like, we didn't need it. And we didn't get it. And that's great. I love that they did not do that. So, that brings us to partly why is because it wasn't just a Thunderbolts title. And I'm going to be honest, I saw prior to watching the movie like a little comment or something, and I want to say it was the director. Someone asked the director maybe about the title, and he said that, yeah, it's intentional and the asterisk is intentional. And I'm going to be honest, I think it was because I was trying to avoid spoilers at all costs that I just totally in one ear and out the other because I didn't give it much thought. And they got me. I'm going to admit that they got me with the title switch. I think that was awesome how they did that. I love it. I personally love that. And, probably a lot of you out there maybe did see that coming. I didn't, and I'm okay with saying that. I thought it was awesome, man. So again, it's the new Avengers, not just the Thunderbolts, and that was so good. I love that. I love it. Um, that was yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I'm gonna say there. I mean, it was great, and I would love to see that team again in another movie. And it was good how they did it. And yeah, man, they got me. I'll admit that they got me on that. But yeah, new Avengers. I love it. I freaking love it. That is a big spoiler. Like, I really hope that that part doesn't get out for people that, haven't had a chance to see it yet, because it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal that they did that. So, the other thing I wrote in here is just speaking of names, is that the Thunderbolts name being run throughout the whole movie, that it came from her soccer team, and then the joke about, like, well, who was the sponsor, and even at one point Ghost says the electric company, and Red Guardian's like, no. That was funny how that was the running joke throughout the movie. As far as end credits go, because I know I got to wrap up here, so we got end credits. You have two. You have the mid-credit scene of the Wheaties, which is a callback to something said earlier in the movie. Very funny scene with Red Guardian there, and then you get the serious one, which I kind of expected, if I'm being honest. I think, I'm sure I'm not alone. This is not some, I wasn't the first to think this, but I've kind of, from the moment I saw what Fantastic Four was about, being in this alternate universe and all that, I kind of knew, you're introducing Galactus. He's the world eater. He has to win. He has to destroy a world, destroy a universe, destroy a galaxy, something to really be like, damn, he is that dude. And so I knew the moment that I heard that it was from a different universe that he was going to win. They're going to lose at the end of that movie. He is going to destroy their world. And you get the awesome scene of, first you get them discussing the Avengers and all that. It's kind of a long end credit. It's more like a scene, which, okay, like, it was cool little banter back and forth, and it was funny, the whole Avengers and, Captain America beefing with them now over the name and all that. But we're there for the end, which is, oh, there's been there's an anomaly, there's something coming in, and oh, it's a ship from another dimension. And they're like, what does that mean? And then you see it, and I knew that it was going to be a Fantastic Four one. And sure enough, boom, Fantastic Four. It is a hell of a, it's about time we got a damn good end credit that really sets up something in the future. It is about damn time. So I'm not knocking it. Thank you so much for adding a good end credit finally. But I felt like that was coming. Because I just felt like that's exactly how that movie's going to go. They're going to lose. Galactus is going to win. He's going to destroy their shit. And then they're going to come to this world and this universe. And so, yeah, I thought really well done. Again, I got to wrap it up here. So I really enjoyed the movie. I think I covered everything on my notes. I know I went all over the place, so I apologize. I don't think anybody watches these for professional reasons. It's more just to hear me rant and be passionate about movies that I like and this hobby that I love. So thank you all for sticking with me through this one. I need to do these more often because I am clearly rusty and not good at this anymore. But I really enjoyed this movie. If you made it this far, you probably already saw it, but hopefully you liked it too. Feel free to DM me, or I'm sorry, feel free to comment spoiler free, or DM me if you want to talk about it, because I would love to talk more about the movie. I really enjoyed it, and as always, thank you all for the support, and I hope to have more content releasing for you guys soon. So thank you all, and until next time, man, Comic Raider is out. Deuces.